Hello, my name is Emma, and today I'll be reading Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Chapter 14, Norbert, the Norwegian Ridgeback. Quirrell, however, must have been braver than they thought. In the weeks that followed, he did seem to be getting paler and thinner, but it didn't look as though he'd cracked yet. Every time they passed inside the corridor, Harry, Ron and Hermione would press their ears to the door to check that Fluffy was still growling inside. Snape was weeping about it in his usual bad temper, which surely meant that the stone was still safe. Whenever Harry passed Quirrell these days, he gave him an encouraging sort of smile, and Harry had started telling people off for even laughing at Quirrell's stutter. Hermione had more on her mind than the Philosopher's Stone. She had started drawing up revision timetables and colour-coding all her notes. Harry and Ron wouldn't have minded, but they kept nagging them to do the same. Hermione, the exams are ages away. 10 weeks! 10 weeks! Hermione snapped. That's not ages. That's like a second into Flummel. But we're not 656 or whatever, 600 years old, reminded her. Anyway, what are you revising for? You already know it all. What am I revising for? Are you mad? You realise we need to pass these exams to get into the second year? They're very important. I should have started studying a month ago. I don't know what's got into me. Unfortunately, the teachers have been thinking along the same lines as Hermione. They piled so much homework on them that the Easter holidays weren't nearly as much fun as the Christmas ones. It was hard to relax with Hermione next to you reciting the 12 uses of dragon's blood or practicing wonder movements. Moaning and yawning, Harry and Ron spent most of their free time in the library with her, trying to get through all this work. I'll never remember this, Ron burst out one afternoon, throwing down his quill and looking longingly out of the library window. It was the first really fun day that they'd had in months. The sky was a clear forget-me-not blue, and there was a feeling in the air of some summer coming. Harry, who was looking up Dittany in 1000 magical herbs and fungi, didn't look up until he heard Ron say, Hagrid, what are you doing in the library? Hagrid shuffled into view, holding something behind his back. He looked very out of place in his moleskin overcoat. Just look in, he said in a shifty voice that got the interest at once. And what are you, Lord Arthur? He suddenly suspicious. Yes, still not looking for Nicholas Flamel. Are ya? Yeah. We found out who he is ages ago, says one impressively. And we know what that's the garden. It's a philosopher's Shh! Hagrid looked around quickly to see if anyone was listening. Don't go shouting about it. What's the matter with you? There are a few things we wanted to ask you. As a matter of fact, said Harry, about what's guarding the stone apart from Fluffy. Shh! Said Hagrid again. Listen, come and see me later, but I'm not promising you I'll tell you anything. Mind? But don't go rubbiting about him. Students aren't about to know. They'll think I told you. See you later then, said Harry. Hagrid shuffled off. What was that he's hiding behind his back? Said Hermione thoughtfully. Do you think it had anything to do with the stone? I'm going to see what section he was in. Who'd had enough of working? He came back a minute later with piles of books in his arms. Dragons, he whispered. Hagrid didn't let him back stuff about dragons. Dragon species of Great Britain and Ireland, from Edgar in Furrow, a dragon keeper's guide. Hagrid's always wanted dragons. He told me so the first time I ever met him. But it's against our laws, said Ron. Dragon breeding was outlawed by the Warlocks Convention of 1709. Everyone knows that. It's hard to stop Muggles noticing us if we're keeping dragons in the back garden. Anyway, you can't tame dragons. They're dangerous. You should see the burns Charlie Scott of Wild Ones in Romania. But there aren't wild dragons in Britain, said Harry. Of course they are. Of course there are, said Ron. Commonwealth Green and Herbie Dean Blacks. The Ministry of Magic has a job washing them up, I can tell you. Our lot have to keep putting spells on Muggles' roofs with them to make them forget. So what on earth Hagrid up to? When they knocked on the door of the gamekeeper's hut an hour later, they were surprised to see that all the curtains were closed. Hagrid called, "Who is it?" before he let them in, and then shuffled the door quickly behind them. It was stifling hot inside. Even though it was such a warm day, there was a blazing fire in the grate. Hagrid made them tea and offered them fruit sandwiches, which they refused. No, thank you. So, you wanted to ask something. Yes, said Harry. There's no point beating about the bush. We're wondering if you could tell us what was guarding the Philosopher's Stone apart from Fluffy. Hagrid frowned at him. Of course. Number 2. Of course I can't, he said. Number 1, I don't know much myself. Number 2, you know so much already, so I wouldn't tell you if I could. The stone's here. For a good reason. It's almost stolen out of the Gringotts. I suppose you've worked that out on all. Beats me how you even know about Fluffy. Oh, come on, Hagrid. You might not want to tell us, but you do know everything that goes on round here, said Hermione in a warm, flattering voice. Hagrid's beard twitched and they could tell he was smiling. We only wondered who had done the garden really, Hermione went on. We wondered who Dumbledore had trusted enough to help him apart from you. Hagrid's chest swelled at these last words. Harry and Ron beamed at Hermione. Well, I don't suppose it could hurt to tell you that. Let's see. He borrowed Fluffy from me, then some of the teachers did enchantments. Professor Sprout, Professor Flitwick, Professor McGonagall. He ticked them off on his fingers. Of course. Hang on, I've forgotten some. And Dumbledore himself did something. Of course. Hang on, I've forgotten someone. Oh yeah. Professor Snape. Snape? Yeah, you're still not on about it, that, aren't you? Look, Snape helped protect the stone. He's not about to steal it. Harry and Hermione were thinking the same thing. If Snape was being on protecting the stone, it must have been easy to find out how the other teachers guarded it. He probably knew everything except it seemed Quirrell's spell and how to get past Fluffy. You're the only one who knows how to get past Fluffy, aren't you, Hagrid? Said Harry. And you wouldn't tell anyone, would you? Not even all of the teachers. Mr. Saul knows, except me and Dumbledore, said Hagrid proudly. Well, that's something, Harry muttered to the others. Hagrid, can we have a window open? I'm boiling. Can't, Harry, sorry, said Hagrid. Harry noted him glance at the fire. Harry looked at it. Hagrid, what's that? But he already knew what it was. In the very heart of the fire, underneath the kettle, was a huge black egg. Ah, said Hagrid, fiddling nasty with his beard. Where did you get it from? Hagrid, said Ron, crouching over the fire to get a close look at the egg. It must have cost you a fortnight. Won it, said Hagrid. Last night I was down in the village having a few drinks and got into a game of cards with a stranger. I think he's quite glad to get rid of it, to be honest. But what are you going to do with it when it hatched? Said Hermione. Well, I've been doing some reading, said Hagrid, pulling a large book from under his pillow. Got this out of the library. Dragon breathing for pleasure and profit. It's a bit out of date, of course, but it's all in here. Keep the egg in the fire, 'cause their mothers breathed on them. See? And when it hatches, feed it on a bucket of brandy mixed with chicken blood every half hour. And see how to recognize dragon egg. What I got, there's a Norwegian ridgeback. Hagrid wasn't listening. He was humming merrily as he stoked the fire. So now they had something else to worry about. What might happen to Hagrid if anyone found out he was hiding an illegal dragon in his hut? Wonder what it's like to have a peaceful life. One sighed as evening after evening they struggled through all the extra homework they're getting. Hermione had now started making revision timetables for Harry and Ron too. It was driving them mad. Then one breakfast time, Hedwig brought Harry another note from Hagrid. He had written only 2 words. It's hatching. It's hatching. Ron wanted to skip her biology, go straight down to the hut. Hermione wouldn't hear of it. Hermione, how many times in our life are we going to see a dragon hatching? We've got lessons, we'll get into trouble. That's nothing to what Hagrid's going to be in when someone finds out what he's doing. Shut up, Harry whispered. Malfoy was only a few feet away and he stopped dead to listen. How much had he heard? Harry didn't like the look on Malfoy's face at all. Ron and Hermione argued all the way down to her biology, and in the end, Hermione agreed to run down to Hagrid with the other 2 during morning break. When the bell sounded from the castle at the end of the lesson, the 3 of them dropped their chairs at once and hurried through the grounds to the edges of the forest. Harry greeted them looking flushed and excited. It's nearly out. He ushered them inside. The egg was lying on the table. There were deep cracks in it. Something was moving inside. A funny clicking noise was coming from it. They all drew their chairs up to the table and watched with bated breath. All at once there was a scraping noise and the egg split open. The baby dragon flopped onto the table. It wasn't exactly pretty. Harry thought it looked like a crumpled black umbrella. Its bunny wings were huge compared to its skinny jet body, and it had a long snout with wide nostrils, stubs of horns, and bulging orange eyes. It sneezed. A couple of sparks flew out of its snout. Isn't he beautiful? Hagrid murmured. He reached out a hand to stroke the dragon's head. It snapped at his fingers, showing pointed fangs. Bless him! He knows his mummy, said Hagrid. Hagrid, said Hermione. How the Norwegian ridgeback screw exactly. Hagrid was about to answer when the colour suddenly drained from his face. He leaped to the window and ran to the window. What's the matter? Someone was looking through the gaps in the curtains. It's a kid. He's running back up to the school. Harry bolted to the door and looked out. Even at a distance, there was no mistaking him. Malfoy had seen the dragon. Something about the smile lurking on Malfoy's face during the next week made Harry, Ron and Hermione very nervous. They spent most of their time in Hagrid's darkened hut, trying to reason with him. Just let him go, Harry urged. Set him free. I can't, said Hagrid. He's too little. He'd die. They looked at the dragon. It had grown 3 times in just a week. Smoke kept falling out of its nostrils. Hagrid hadn't been doing his gamekeeping duties because the dragon was keeping him so busy. There were empty brandy bottles on the and chicken feathers all over the floor. I've decided to call him Norbert, said Hagrid, looking at the dragon with misty eyes. He really knows me now. Watch. Norbert, where's Mummy? He loved his mom, was Ron muttered in Hagrid's ear. Hagrid said Harry loudly. Give it a fortnight and Norbert's going to be as long as your house. Malfoy could go to Dumbledore at any moment. I know I can't keep him forever, but I can't just dump him. I can't. Harry suddenly turned to Ron. Charlie, he said. You're losing it too, said Ron. I'm Ron, remember? No, Charlie. Your brother Charlie in Romania. Certain dragon. You could send Norbert to him. Charlie can take care of him and then put him back in the wild. Brilliant, said Ron. How about it, Hagrid? And in the end, Hagrid agreed that they could send an hour to Charlie and ask him. The following week dragged by. Wednesday night found Hermione and Harry sitting alone in the common room long after everyone else had gone to bed. The clock on the wall had chimed just midnight when the portrait burst open. Ron appeared out of nowhere as he pulled off Harry's invisibility cloak. He had just been down at Hagrid's hut, helping him feed Norbert, which was wrapped in a bloody handkerchief. I'm not going to be able to hold a quill for a week. I tell you, that dragon's the most horrible animal I've ever met. But the way Hagrid goes on about it, you'd think it was a fluffy little bunny rabbit. When it bit me, even told me off for frightening. And when I left, he was singing it a lullaby. There's a tap on the dark window. It's Hagrid. She'll have Charlie's answer. The three of them put their heads together to read the letter. Dear one, how are you? ? Thanks for the letter. I'd be glad to take the Norwegian Ridgeback, but it wouldn't be easy getting him here. I think the best thing will be to send him over with some friends of mine who are coming to visit me next week. Trouble is, they mustn't be seen carrying a legal dragon. Could you get the Ridgeback up the tallest tower at midnight on Saturday? They can meet you there and take him away anyway when it's still dark. Send me an answer as soon as possible. Love, Charlie. They looked at each other. We've got the invisibility cloak, said Harry. Shouldn't be too difficult. I think the cloak's big enough to cover two of us and Norbert. It was a mark the last week had been that the other two agreed with him, anything to get rid of Norbert and Malfoy. There was a hitch. By next morning, one's bitten hand had swollen to twice its usual size. He didn't know whether it was safe to go to Madame Pomfrey. Would she recognise a dragon bite? By the afternoon, though, he had no choice. The cut had turned a nasty shade of green. It looked as if Norbert's fangs were poisonous. Harry and Hermione tried to calm one down. Midnight on Saturday, he said in a hoarse voice. Oh no, I've just remembered. Charlie's letter was in the book Malfoy took. He's going to know we're getting rid of Norbert. Harry and Hermione didn't get a chance to answer. Madame Pomfrey came over at that moment and made them leave, saying one needed sleep. It's too late to change the plan now, Harry told Hermione. We haven't got time to send Charlie another owl, and this could be our only chance to get rid of Norbert. We have to risk it. And we've got the invisibility cloak. Malfoy doesn't know about that. They found Fanny the Bullhound sitting outside with a bandaged tail when they went to tell Hagrid, who opened the window to talk to them. I won't let you in, he puffed. Norbert's at a tricky state. Nothing I can't handle. When they told him about Charlie's letter, his eyes filled with tears. Although he might have been, Norbert had just bitten him on the leg. Ah, it's all right. He only got my boot. Just playing. He's only a baby after all. The baby banged its tail on the wall, making the windows rattle. Harry and Hermione walked back to the castle, feeling Saturday couldn't come quickly enough. It was a very dark, cloudy night, and they had been a little bit late arriving at Hagrid's hut because they'd had to wait for police to get out of their way in the entrance hall where he'd been playing tennis against the wall. Hagrid had Norbert packed and ready in a large crate. He's got loads of rats and some brandy for the journey, said Hagrid in a muffled voice. And I've packed his teddy bear in case he gets lonely. From inside a crate came ripping noise. That sounded to Harry as though to Harry as though Teddy was having his head torn off. Bye-bye, Norbert, Hagrid sobbed as Harry and Hermione covered the grate with invisibility cloak, and Hagrid said, Mummy will never forget you. How they managed to get the crate back to the castle, they never knew. Then a sudden movement ahead of them made them almost drop the crate, forgetting that they were already invisible. They shrunk into the shadows, staring at each other. Professor McGonagall, in a tartan dressing gown and a hairnet, had Malfoy by the hair. Detention! She shouted. And 20 points from Slytherin, wandering around in the middle of the night. How dare you? You don't understand, Professor. Harry Potter's coming. He's got a dragon. What utter rubbish. How dare you tell such lies? Come on. I shall see Professor Snape about you, Malfoy. The steep spiral staircase up to the top of the tower seemed the easiest thing in the world after that. Not until they stepped out into the cold night air that they did throw off the cloak. Glad to be able to breathe properly again. Minded sort of jig. Hermione's got detention, I could sing. Don't, Harry advised her. Chuckling about Malfoy, they waited. Norbert thrashing about in his crate. Charlie's friends were a cheery lot. They showed Harry and Hermione the harness they'd rigged up. 4 broomsticks came swooping down out of darkness. Harry, at last, Norbert was gone. They slipped back towards the thing. No more dragon. Malfoy in detention. What could spoil their happiness? Filch's face loomed suddenly out of the darkness. Well, he whispered. We are in trouble. They left the invisibility cloak on top of the tower. But the end of chapter 14.